owners about what is really important to them. What do they need to really make their businesses thrive in this community? And what two things that we heard from them, one is that they need access to funding, and two, really they need to know how to develop that banking relationship. So that is what we're going to be focusing on tonight. What funding is available specifically to Black and minority owned businesses, and how do you develop that relationship? What is it that you should be looking for from your banking partner, because your bank is your partner. So we are excited to get our night kicked off. And I just want to start with a little bit of research just for your information. When we look at our country, research shows us that UNLV research shows us that white Americans have 13 times more wealth than Black Americans, which means for every $100,000 a white household obtains, a Black household has $7,692. This is the reality of what we're dealing with in our country when we look at our issues of wealth. And we know that this is because of the structural racism that has been built into our system. But one way for us to overcome that is for us to develop entrepreneurs and business owners in our community. We know that the wealth gap begins to shrink when people are able to launch their own business. And again, when we look at that same research, it shows that Black business owners have 12 times more wealth than Black non-business owners. And when comparing the median wealth of Black and white business owners, we see that median wealth gap decrease substantially. So that's why we are spending so much time really trying to invest in our Black companies and in our minority businesses. My name is Katrina Bowman Thomas. I'm the Executive Director for Northern Kentucky Community Action Commission, and we have partnered with the CBC, Covington Business Council, as well as with the Northern Kentucky Chamber of Commerce to put on this event tonight, because we understand the importance of growing business in our community, because it helps our entire community to thrive. And so I just want to take a few moments here to introduce our partners. First being Pat Frew. He is Executive Director for Covington Business Council, and he's just going to share a few minutes about the exciting initiatives he has going on at CBC. Hey there, Pat.
Hi, Katrina. Thank you for having me. It won't even take 2 minutes. The Covington Business Council is pleased to participate and help to spearhead the town hall meetings. CBC currently has a special half-off discount on new dues for for-profit organizations through the end of this year. So for many of you, as a for-profit, your dues would start out at $250, but with this discount, you would pay only $125. But the CBC is serious in its commitment to attract more minority businesses. So please reach out to me at my email, pfrew@cbcky.com email address. I'll also copy that in the chat. We don't want to turn anyone away because of a lack of affordability. So if that is even still an obstacle for you at half off, let's talk. Katrina, thank you for allowing us to be part of this important program.
Thank you so much, Pat. We so appreciate your partnership and everything that you're doing in our community. Next, we have Northern Kentucky Chamber of Commerce, and we have two of their esteemed board members with us on tonight. And I forgot to say Kristen's name. So Kristen Smitherman Voltaire and Chris Owens, thank you both for joining us on this evening. And again, just let us know what you've got going on at the Chamber. We'll start with you, Kristen.
Sure thing. So first of all, thank you all so much for being here. Katrina, thank you for your continued partnership. Chris and I are very honored to have recently joined the Northern Kentucky Chamber Board earlier this year. And we are just thrilled about the direction of the board. One of the initiatives that he and I are heading up very soon is launching a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee that's specifically focused on attracting minority businesses to the chamber, but not only that, better understanding how we as a Northern Kentucky Chamber can really support Black and minority-owned businesses in the everyday work that you all do, and how we can better connect you to vendors, suppliers, clients, customers. So that's really the effort that we will be kind of taking charge of starting in the new year. And we look forward to that. And with that, I will go ahead and kick it over to Chris, who will talk more about some of the membership initiatives that the Chamber has been embarking on.
Once again, thank you for having us on here. We're very passionate about helping grow Northern Kentucky in terms of diversity and inclusion. With that being said, the Northern Kentucky Chamber just recently in the last couple months instituted a dual membership with the African American Chamber. So if you are in good standing with the African American Chamber of Cincinnati and Greater Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky, then you are able to join the Northern Kentucky Chamber for $99, which is a great deal. You're able to get access to cost savings, to resources, connections to other businesses, member of the day. So a way for you to kind of spread, basically your brand to Northern Kentucky and to connect with other Northern Kentucky members by doing this. So I work for a company called Taylor Oswald, and we joined, and so far we've been getting connected. So it's a great opportunity, and we need more African American businesses to join so that, as Kristen mentioned, so that we have some steam for this diversity committee. So we are. Please reach out to us, even if cost is an issue. Please still reach out to us, and we'll see what we can do to help. But we are here to help, and please reach out to us. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Kristen and Chris. I so appreciate your partnership and leadership at the Chamber, and I'm really excited to see what's going to unfold in 2021. And I see Lynn Ablin on. She is the membership chair. So Lynn, I don't know if you wanted to add anything, but I just wanted to give you a shout out to let people know that they can contact you directly if they are interested in membership.
That's right. Kristen and Chris did a great job. So, but if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me.
Okay. And
Thanks.
then you can put your information in the chat too.
I will.
Okay.
Good idea.
Thank you all so much. And we now are going to move into our panel. We are so excited to have with us representatives from Heritage Bank, from Republic Bank, and from Huntington Bank. When I sent out the call and I said, who really has banking tools specifically for Black businesses, for minority businesses, these three banks raised their hand and said, we have products for this community, and we want to get the information out to business owners so they can know what we have available to them. But before we get into our panel, the one thing you have to have before you're eligible for any of these products and services is you have to be in good standing with the state and with the county. And so Kareem Simpson, one of my favorite people in the world, is going to share with us for a few minutes about what you need to do to make sure that your company is in good standing. Take it away, Kareem.
Thanks, Katrina. My name is Kareem Simpson. I am the manager for operations here at Northern Kentucky Community Action Commission. And Katrina is definitely right that one of the first steps that you need to do is to make sure that your business is in good standing with the state of Kentucky. But what does that actually mean? So we all know that business ownership, in particular small business ownership, has traditionally been a strategy to advance economic opportunity, especially in the Black communities. For the last several months, we've been watching as COVID-19 and its pandemic has hit the Black-owned businesses particularly hard. And a lot of it comes down to the relationship, or the lack thereof, that Black-owned businesses have with banks. Now, getting that first round of Paycheck Protection Program funding was like running a race. And because of the lack of that firm banking relationship, along with the widening racial wealth gap in this country and lower levels of financial and business assets among Black business owners, it made it so that Black businesses were less likely afforded the opportunity to take advantage of those PPP loans. So it's imperative, as was said before, that all Black businesses create a business relationship with their bank of choice. And surprisingly enough, that first step is registering your business with the state of Kentucky through their office of the Secretary of State. And so what I'm going to do, it's a really simple process. they have an actual portal called the Kentucky One Stop Business Portal. And you go there and it actually walks you through the step-by-step to become registered as a business in the state of Kentucky. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and pop that link into the chat. Again, we will be sending this out in a follow-up email. So you don't need to write it down necessarily now, but it's just, it's one of the first steps to getting your business in good standing with the state of Kentucky. Now, once that is complete, you're automatically in good standing with the state of Kentucky. And this good standing is imperative to have when you go to try and open a business account with the bank, with your local bank, because without it, you are not able to open a business banking account in the state of Kentucky without being in good standing with the state of Kentucky. Now, if you are already an established business, you've been working for several years, you've already went through the process. It's been several years since you went through the process of being in good standing. That good standing only lasts for basically for 1 year. So you can also, so if you don't know if you're in good standing, there's also another link, and I'm going to drop that in the chat as well, where you can actually search your own business or other businesses to see if you are in good standing with the state of Kentucky. And if you find out that you're not, then I would highly suggest contacting the Secretary of State and finding out what steps you need to do to be in good standing with the state of Kentucky. Generally, it's an annual fee that you pay, but depending on what type of business that you own and operate, there might be additional fees or there might be other steps. But first and foremost, become registered with the state of Kentucky as a business. Second, you need to stay in good standing with the state of Kentucky to continue to get those services and offers from our local banks that will help us succeed. And I'm going to turn it over to Katrina. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to pop it in the chat and I'll try to take care of them that way.
All right. Thank you, Kareem, for that valuable information. We know we have to be in good standing. And as we have been really working in this space and we've been looking at Black businesses, we've seen so many that are not in good standing. So please take advantage of those tools to check to see if you are in good standing. One thing Kareem is going to be leading up for us is the entrepreneurship program next year, where we're actually going to be able to provide some funding. Thanks to Huntington Bank, they gave us an investment, a grant to be able to help businesses to get started and to give them some seed money to move forward. So we'll be talking about that more in 2021. So at this time, we are going to move into our panel discussion. We're going to talk with our panel for about 30 minutes. Then we're going to go into breakout sessions where you'll be able to meet with either Huntington, Heritage, or Republic Bank, whichever tool is most interesting to you. You'll be able to go and get more in-depth information from them. Then we'll all come back together. And then at the end, we'll have some door prizes. CBC has agreed to give away a membership for next year. Northern Kentucky Chamber has done the same. And then we'll be giving away a $250 gift card to one of the businesses, just again to help you boost your business and the things you may need to accomplish in the next couple of weeks of this year. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our panelists. And our first panelist is Kenneth Webb with Republic Bank. He has more than 26 years of financial services experience and over 30 years of community outreach and engagement. Kenneth now serves as a vice president at Republic Bank in Norwood, Ohio. Kenneth is active in the community, serving on several boards, and is the co-pastor of Zion Global Ministries of Northern Kentucky and Covington. Hey there, good Reverend Doctor. So glad that you are here with us on tonight. That's what I call him, a good Reverend Doctor.
Glad to be here.
Thank you so much. Next, we have Joe Slim, one of my favorite board members of NKCAC. He is the Senior Vice President of Commercial Loan Officer with over 25 years experience in commercial and business banking and sales management in the greater Cincinnati area. He is a former board member of Trinity Hill Family Services, and he again serves on our board, and we're so glad to have his expertise on our board. And he also serves on the Greater Cincinnati Micro Enterprise Initiative and volunteers with the Free Store Food Bank. He's a busy man. Thank you so much, Joe, for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
For sure. And with Huntington Bank, we have two representatives. First, we have Paige Sanchez. She joined Huntington Bank in 2018, transitioning out of the United States Army after 5 years of service. She recently joined Huntington's SBA lending team after completing Huntington's Military Veteran Development Program. She received her BS from the United States Military Academy and master's from Rutgers University. Thank you and welcome so much, Paige. We're so glad that you're here with us on tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Definitely. And last but not least, we have Wendell Rounds. He's worked at Huntington for almost 6 years and spent the last 3 years as a branch manager. He has a BA from the University of Minnesota and an MBA from the University of Phoenix. He enjoys helping business and personal consumers achieve their financial goals. And he also enjoys coaching and mentoring. So thank you. Welcome. So glad to have each of you on tonight. And so we are going to jump straight into these questions. Many companies have pledged millions of dollars to support Black-owned and minority companies after the tragic killings and civil unrest that we've seen over the last several months. What specifically is your bank doing to promote and encourage Black business growth in this region? And Joe, we'll start with you.
Well, thank you. Well, Heritage Bank, we have a little bit different culture than I would say your larger banks. We are a true community bank dedicated to the community that we serve. I can tell you that we actively go out into the minority communities, offering our service and advice. The best way I can describe it is the bank is the tool and the advocate for the community and the community that we serve. We sit down with any customer or individual that may not be a customer and actively help them and guide them. You know, we willingly go out and do that in the community.
And, you know, with Joe, when the PPP, thank you so much, Joe. When the PPP, the first came out, I contacted him and said, Joe, we've got businesses that don't have an established banking relationship. What can Heritage do? And he, with us, held a webinar and began just walk through the process with so many Black business owners to give them the opportunity to get that PPP loan. So we so appreciate you and all that you've been doing, and I'm sure will continue to do in the community.
Yeah, that we had a very good response to that, Katrina. And, you know, to that point, I met with a lot of, you know, minority-owned businesses that just, the best way to put it is they feel a little bit intimidated with dealing with a bank, and just being able to sit down and put them at ease was a great bridge builder. Yeah,
and I heard from so many of them that reached out to you and they were like, I've moved over to Heritage. And so that really was a great opportunity for them. So I really do appreciate that. And I'm going to move on to Huntington. What specifically are you all doing in communities of color here in our region, Wendell and Paige?
Well, we came out with a new initiative called the Local Lift Program. And it is a program designed to support minorities and also women and veterans, and also businesses in a low to moderate income tract. It's part of a 5-year, $20 billion community program that we have out there to provide affordable housing and home ownership, access to capital, and the community lending and investment.
Very nice. How much was that? What you said? What, 20 million?
Well, it's across the board. So.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant just for here, but okay, that's still good. Thank you for that. Paige, did you have anything to add to that? You good? Okay. All right, Mr. Webb, what about at Republic? But before I go there, I do want to say Huntington in their foundation has been very supportive. As I mentioned before, we just received a grant from them to support minority businesses. And so we're really thankful for the partnership that we have with Huntington as well. And we're excited about what that new partnership, what that's going to look like in 2021 and how that's going to be able to support small businesses. So thank you to you and to Huntington. I have to give a shout out to Elizabeth, my friend. I know she's on here. And she always calls, she's like, Katrina, I know y'all working hard. We got some foundation money over here. Apply. I don't know if I'm supposed to say it, Elizabeth, but I appreciate her. There she is. I appreciate her and all that she does to support us and to support minority businesses in this community. Okay, so Mr. Webb, moving on to you. What is Republic Bank doing in this region?
Well, good afternoon or good evening to everybody's on the call. I'm so glad to be on the call with all you this evening. One of the things that happened with the unrest that took place with the George Floyd situation was there was a need, there was an outcry, there was a strain on people thinking that the last place I want to think about doing anything business-wise is banking, because there was so much inequality that was across the board. And so our CEO, Steve Traeger, and other individuals in leadership came together and we started a community loan fund. It was $50,000 loans for individuals that are impacted by equity and also inadequate access to capital. When we think about that, that's one of the problems that we had with this whole George Floyd situation was an inadequacy and inequity. And those words came crystal clear to us as a bank and also as some of our partners in our footprint that we need to do something different. Now everybody's on the bandwagon now doing all these different types of affordable, empowering type of events, but we've been doing that since day one. And so I think now it has a better opportunity because most of the people, when they deal with issues with inequity, it's because they just don't know. And so we at Republic will follow you from the time you have a dream to the time you have a business mindset, to you have an actual business loan, to the point where you can actually follow you through that business loan. Because a lot of times what happens after you get the loan, people kind of just drive you to the curb. We don't do that here at Republic. We continue to try to follow you as you continue to grow your business, your relationship with us. And so we saw that as being something that we had to do because it's part of our DNA. This is who we are, and this is what we try to do in our communities, not only with African-American community, women-owned communities, as well as with veterans, but just people in general. And that's part of the DNA that continues to drive the moving force for us to do what we do on a daily basis. So thank you for the opportunity for us to talk about that and talk about what we do here at Republic.
Very nice. And that leads to my next question. You know, as we look at the research, it shows that those that have developed that banking relationship, that they are much more likely to be funded for a loan. So how do you begin to develop that relationship? You know, what are the first steps that you take? And how do you know if a bank is the right fit for you? And I'm going to start this time with Wendell and Paige. I'll go to you guys.
Yeah, so sorry, we skipped around a little bit, so I just got to follow the next my loan here for my answer questions. So getting ready to apply for a bank loan can be very overwhelming, especially if you've never applied before. We at Lift Local are encouraging you to work with your community partners like Katrina to help you really understand what that process is going to require. especially when you apply for a loan that works with the SBA that goes through an additional SBA eligibility review, there may be more documentation that is required. So just keep in mind, if you ever have any questions about the paperwork or the documentation, or if you're ready, it's all going to start with the banker that you've developed a relationship with. And that's most likely your branch banker, like Wendell, down in the branch, in your local branch. So your bankers are always there to support you through the process.
And Paige, you said SBA. Can you just sort of spell out what that is?
Yes, excuse me, the Small Business Administration.
And that is where, the PPP funding comes from. And I guess they really sort of have oversight of small business to make sure that banks and others are doing what needs to be done to support them. Is that right?
Yes. Yep, exactly.
Gotcha. Wendell, did you want to add to that? I think you went on mute.
All right, there we go. Yeah, the relationship has to grow organically, and it starts at the branch level with the manager. The manager is the quarterback because the manager has the relationships within various areas of the bank. And just like what you had mentioned before, is that a customer is less likely to leave the bank if they have various relationships in other areas, and that starts bottom line with the manager.
So let me ask you this, Wendell. I think Joe said this. When you walk in, it's intimidating. There's a guard over there in the corner. You got, people watching you. But should you go directly and say, I wanted to set an appointment with the manager to talk about my idea or my business? I mean, what should that look like?
Well, I mean, as far as with Huntington, we're, and I'm sure other banks too, but we're a welcoming atmosphere. Huntington prides itself in excellent customer service. So when a customer comes into the branch, it's a welcoming atmosphere. It's less intimidating, and the manager is the face of the bank. So the manager here at Huntington Bank, the branch managers always put themselves out there for every customer, big or small. So, and that helps out a lot.
Okay, that's good to know because I did not know that. What about you, Kenneth? What is that? Web Republic? What is that first step? Where should you really start?
Well, and that goes back to we've been saying about a relationship manager and how you develop a relationship. Because a lot of times, what happens with entrepreneurs, they have a dream, right? And then they say, okay, what am I going to do with this particular dream? If you have somebody who is going to give you good advice and tell you to go to one of the small business associations or the SB, I saw Catherine Glover. I gave her a shout out. She's on the call. She's part of the Small Business Development Center group. Her and Lisa, they're the kind of people that you take, and even in the chat, she said it's free of cost. Mm-hmm. Be careful about going to places, financial institutions that will charge you to do what these individuals will do for free. And so often what happens is people in the African American community and other communities that are distressed and don't have the adequate capital, is they get told information that's not true. And so you have to find a partner that gives you the information, and not only gives you information without strings attached. And so I believe that as you continue to develop your relationship with that banker, they'll give you the information that you need, and they'll give you partners that will help you along the way, and they will continue to try to help you be the most successful business that there can be. Because when you win, we win, and when the community wins, we all win. So
true. Thank you so much. And Joe, I'm going to go to you. What are your thoughts?
Well, here's what I'm going to say. I'm a pretty simple guy, and I try to keep things simple. And that's really what I stress when I meet with a customer or a prospective customer. And I can give you an example of there's a husband and wife that wanted to buy a barber shop, and they came in to talk to me, and I mean, they were literally shaking. They were so nervous. And before we even started the meeting, I said to them, look, here's what you need to do. Take a deep breath, okay? I'm not going to eat you, okay? I'm here to help you. I mean, I am, Sure, I'm a commercial banker. Okay. I got a big title by my name. So what? But the thing about it is I'm here to be your coach. I'm here to be your consultant. I'm here to be your advocate. Okay. I'm going to help you through this process. And we're going to be transparent with one another. I mean, that's the key. I always tell them, let's be transparent. Okay. Sometimes a no really isn't a no when you run into those obstacles. A lot of times it's not right now, but here's how we can get you to that point. And that's huge. It's all about, as we're all saying, it's all about relationships. It, I've participated in get-togethers, I guess is the best way to put it, or discussions with the Port Authority at Greater Cincinnati, where I was contacted because they're trying to revitalize the Bond Hill area, but they've heard a lot about a lot of the businesses were afraid to approach a bank. So I agreed to stand up and talk, and it's just being presentable, making people feel at ease. That's the key. I mean, bring it to the various simplest, I'm a human being, they're a human being just like you and me. That's the best way to, just keep it simple.
And so what I hear really from all of you all is that it's on really the bank to make you as a customer feel comfortable. So if you are in a banking relationship where they're not reaching out to you, they're not providing what we're hearing today, then maybe that's not the right fit for you, because they should be creating an atmosphere where you are comfortable, because at the end of the day, you are going to be paying them for the product that they produce. And so I think we have to sort of shift our mindset is, we are the customer here, so they need to provide excellent customer service to us. So as we're thinking about that, Wendell, you mentioned some specific tools that Huntington has, and I'd like to really delve into that more. What are the tools that you have? What is the application process? What are the requirements for what you mentioned earlier?
Yeah, as far as what I mentioned earlier, as far as the requirements, again, veteran, minority, if you a woman, and if you own 51% of the business, and if your business also is in a low to moderate income track, and then some of the features of the local LIFT programs is that we offer loans anywhere from 1,000 to 150,000. Access to capital at low cost of the business, zero origination fees. Huntington pays the small business administration fees. And there's also a free financial education course powered by Operation Hope, and no monthly fee accounts. And all of our business accounts have a 24-hour grace period, which we had on our personal accounts as well. And then the longer repayment terms. As far as the qualifications part of that, I'm going to bounce that question off to Paige so that she can answer.
Yeah, no, Wendell, you did an excellent job. So everyone's preview on the call, I'm the program manager of Huntington's LIFT Local Business. So Wendell will be your way to apply. So if you're interested in this program or you want to learn more about it, Wendell will be your person who you would go into the branch and set an appointment with to understand what the program is. Wendell listed a lot of the incredible features that we've done for this program. And we really can't stress enough the free entrepreneurial training. It's at no cost to you. It'll help you build out a business plan. It will help you. It'll help you build out projections and a pro forma balance sheet. It'll do some of those things if you don't have access to in your area a small business development administration or a small business development organization. It will provide one to you. So it really is an incredible opportunity. And I want to mention as well that you don't need to apply for LIFT Local in order to take advantage of that opportunity. Huntington is providing that to anyone interested in starting their small business or accessing that training just by going to huntington.com/liftlocal. And I'll put that in the chat.
Very nice. So what is like your minimum credit score requirement to be eligible for that product? Because a lot of times people think, well, they get sort of confused about their personal score and then the business piece. So how does that part work?
Yeah, and credit score can often be intimidating, especially if you're brand new to a business credit score. So we can use both credit scores and they translate to one another. So the SBSS score would be your business credit score, and that could be as low as 140. That translates to about a 580 credit score. So we won't know and understand everything that's happening with your credit. We'd encourage you to use public resources so that you can access your credit like some of the other credit. We will do our own credit analysis. So, don't assume that everything you see on Credit Karma or another Experian crediting service will match exactly what we're looking at, but it'll help you get an understanding. And certainly, it's always great to educate yourself about credit score because really everything lending, it runs on a credit score. So always great to be educated around what is a credit score and how to improve or change your credit score.
And just one last question. So if you're new, like say I just started my business, would you have a credit score? Like if I'm just now opening that, would your business have a credit score?
Yeah, so some might, and that's where that really low credit score comes in. And that's what we found is that brand new businesses tend to have a lower credit score just because they haven't been operating long enough to build credit. But that's also why establishing a loan through a banking institution is so important because it's just another way to help build your business credit. That using a Cash App or some of those other I don't want to say off the grid, but some of those other solutions might not help you build your business credit for growth.
Gotcha. Very nice. Thank you. Such very good information. Mr. Webb, I'm going to you. Does Republic have specific tools for minority businesses, and what does that look like?
We had mentioned that, thanks again for me to respond to this. We had mentioned the community loan fund that we have. It's established in lieu of what happened during this year, $50,000 loan fund. And it's a one-page application. Sometimes people get caught up into the application and then they get in the minutia and they forget that we're trying to loan money to people. We're trying to get people money so they can be more successful as their business are concerned. Flexible qualifications, terms up to 60 months. I mean, all that information is on the flyer, and I can send you the flyer. I think I sent you the flyer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That information as well as the application. And so those two products, as well as, we had 3,600 people, so 3,600 businesses take advantage of the PPP program. So a lot of those were nonprofits, a lot of those were minority businesses as well. So when you think about overall, we're trying to make sure that we have a strong base wherever we have a branch. And so we look forward to what's going to happen after this meeting, as well as other town hall meetings to come. So thanks again.
I like that one-page application. That's what I'm talking about, one page. And Mr. Joe, I'm going to you next. Do you have specific tools?
Well, yes, we have specific tools, and not to sound too forward, but our specific tool is our bank. Okay. I have worked for large super regional banks, and I can tell you that we will look at any loan request, regardless of what business you're in, regardless of what your issues have been in the past. We go to the community. That's what we do. We actively participate in any community function there that will better serve the community. I never knew what a community bank was until I came to Heritage Bank and found out what true community banking is, and that's what it's all about. And on the personal side, how we've partnered with NKYCAC on the Second Chance Banking Program, and actually help those individuals. We have that fund out there to help those and put money in their account, give them a second chance. When when they go through the, smart money program.
Mhm.
So we want to and actively go out to the community and do anything we can to help those individuals. We want people to be successful. And success looks differently to everyone.
Let me ask you, Joe. So what about for startups? If somebody says, I have this idea, I need some seed money, is there a loan product for startups?
Well, we utilize the SBA as well. What I guess what the easiest way to put this is, I personally have lending authority at Heritage Bank. Okay. I have worked with many entrepreneurs. I have used to be involved with the brandery and centrifuge over in Cincinnati. I know what entrepreneurs look like. I know what they're after, and that is a tough conversation for those individuals who are intimidated or overwhelmed by a bank and don't really know how to get out of starting block. And that's where it goes back to, my job is to be your coach, your consultant, and your advocate, and to help you, position to get that loan approved, to get that funding.
Yeah.
We will, entrepreneurs, if you've been in business a day or you're just trying to invent a new mousetrap, we will help you out.
Thank you. And Kenneth, I'm going to go to you on this question. As we look at the research, it shows that minority and Black-owned businesses are much less likely to be funded for a loan. They're more likely to be asked to come back repeatedly for more appointments and for additional paperwork. So, if you feel like you've been taken through extra steps, what is your recourse? How do you know if you are being treated fairly? Who's making the lending decisions? And how do you know if it is just because of racism or whatever other factors and not your actual business itself?
Well, one of the things that, thank you for that difficult question, Katrina.
I know, it's like I gave it to you.
So one of the things that I think is essential is that understanding, it goes back to relationship banking, but it also goes back to the truth, right? Understanding what the truth is. So often we are giving information that's not always the truth. In our community, sometimes we are giving information because Uncle Remus or Uncle Nate or Uncle somebody went to the bank 20 years ago or 30 years ago and he had a bad experience. From that bad experience, they always talk about when somebody has a bad experience, they tell 10 other people instead of actually talking about a good experience. And so the uncle tells everybody that don't go to that bank ever again. The bank might have had a situation where the person might have been given some information that might not have been true themselves. But we'll never know because we'll never go back to that bank ever again because of the information we were given earlier. And so I think it's almost like when you do anything, it's almost the onus is also on you as an entrepreneur to do some research, to go out and say, okay, well, I went to this bank and I got this information from this individual, went to this bank, got this information from this individual, and I went to the small business development centers and got this information from them and got this information from the SBA. You got to do your research and do your due diligence as well. And don't assume that everybody wants you to be in their branch, right? We can get on this call, we can say all the things that we do for the African-American community and the Black community, and we're all excited about what products that we have. But when the reality comes in and that next morning, when Wednesday morning comes, somebody gets into their car and tries to drive into a branch, somebody says, you're not welcome, not by what they say, but by how they treat you. That's something totally different. And so, going in, it's not about the bow tie. It's not about the suit. It's not about being overwhelmed, but it's about the relationship and how you are treated when you walk into it. And not only as a human being, but somebody who's really concerned about my business and my future. You can really tell that. It's almost like when I teach kids financial literacy, that kids pick up on two things. I call them the two Fs. They pick up on fear and they pick up on fake. So as people, when they come to a situation with their bank if you know that that person is really not really concerned about me, they're just going through the motions, you can really pick up on that. And so I would challenge each person who's trying to be an entrepreneur, trying to do a startup. And then also remember the first call that we had, the first business banking town hall meeting that we had, the two individuals from the two different nonprofits. Reach out to them as well. They're a good resource. They're in the process of helping you be more successful. So I would make sure, like we said in the first call that we had, make sure you have good people on your team.
Mhm.
Qualified. Your team is making sure that we all win, and not this person that's going to say, well, if you go with this person, no. Make sure we're all on the same page and working together.
That's good. And yes, and like you said, Catherine Glover is on here with the NKU Small Business Development Center. And she said that, they have some no-cost resources. And it's good to talk with people like that with us and with those types of organizations to prepare you to go in to the bank so you are more confident, because I think that's a big piece of it too. If you walk in there confidently knowing that they are to be providing a service to you, then that's going to impact how that relationship is developed as well. Joe, Paige, Wendell, did any of you all have anything to add to that piece? Any other comments about that? No, moving on then. So we talked about all of these products that are available, but when do you really know that you are ready for a bank loan? When do you know that you are at the level to, be able to pay it back? Because nothing that we're talking about tonight is free. We're not talking about grant money. We're talking about a loan that has to be paid back with some type of interest. I don't think this is a forgivable loan at this point. So how do I know that I'm ready, even if I am approved for this funding? And I'll start with you, Joe.
Well, Katrina, that's a great question. And it goes back to a statement I made earlier about being transparent. One thing that I like to do is when I'm sitting down with an applicant or someone that's thinking about applying, and you have that discussion with them as far as what are the funds going to be used for? How did you come to this figure, et cetera, et cetera. And then you share with them the information that you're going to need to gather in order to really sit down and, as we say, and crunch the numbers. I literally show an applicant how we crunch the numbers. And I share with them where you get debt service coverage ratio, how you can afford to make this payment. What are we looking at as when we're underwriting, okay, to make sure you can afford the payment? Because at the end of the day, you have a lot of people that come in and say, well, hey, I have this great collateral, or my credit score is, 800. But at the end of the day, if you can't afford to make the payment, you can't afford to make the payment. Okay. So at the discussion about cash flow, okay, that really leads to, can I borrow this amount of money? Maybe I need to scale back a little bit from what my thoughts are, but really drill down and have that conversation. I mean, I know we just keep on being cliche, but it's about being comfortable with who you're talking to, developing that relationship, being transparent. As a banker, I want somebody to see what we're looking at. I don't want anybody to be looking over their shoulders and thinking that for whatever reason, they weren't treated the same way as somebody else, okay? Because if that's the way they feel, then I failed.
So Joe, if I apply for it and then I get my denial letter, can I then go back and say, hey, I got this denial letter. Can you explain it to me? What should I do with that information if I am denied? Okay,
well, I can't speak for any of the other lenders, but, before you get that denial letter, I'm going to talk to you face to face. Okay. I'm not going to sit there and hide behind a letter that we're going to kick out and be computer generated. I'm going to go over with you where the disconnect was, how we can resolve that disconnect. That's huge. That goes back to the whole education piece that we're talking about here. You have to be able to give those individuals, okay, minority-owned businesses, the opportunity and the wherewithal to understand the process. I think that's really where, what's going on. That, don't pay any attention to the man behind the green curtain,
Right.
Exactly. Don't have the green curtain up there. Okay. And I'm going to tell you to your face, I'm going to sit down and coach you and go over with you what happened. Okay. I'm not going to kick out a letter and never return a phone call. You're going to know from me.
Okay, very nice. What about at Huntington? What does that process there look like?
Yeah, so I want to highlight that the feeling about being ready for a loan may be similar, but it's really banking is also very much a partnership. So we have encouraged you all night to build your relationship with your banker, to build a relationship with maybe an organization that's going to help you review your cash flow and your business plan. To really sit down and do that financial analysis. And I think sometimes people think loans are always for new money. Well, as you look at those finances, in Huntington Lift Local program, you can refinance debt. So maybe also, a loan can also be reconsidering what debt you do have and taking a look to see if there's an opportunity to refinance that to a much more reasonable payment term or a more reasonable interest rate. So just be very open about what your possibilities are in lending. Huntington does not want to set you up for failure. So that is what our underwriting team is doing. And while it may seem, again, overwhelming when they ask you for additional cash projections, they want to make sure that you can support the debt that you're taking on, because we do not want your business to fail at Huntington. We only want to set you up for growth. And sometimes that starts with a $1,000 refinance of a credit card debt. And sometimes that starts with $150,000 to purchase a brand new pizza oven. You need to know what's right for your business at the time and set the right expectations for how to grow.
Very nice. Very, very good. Mr. Webb, do you have anything to contribute to that?
Well, thank you. And basically everybody's saying the same thing. It's about knowing your client. And I think I said something about this on the first call that we had, the first Black Business Town Hall meeting, about doing your research. Because if the cash flow is good right now, well, everybody's excited about this new burger that you did. But now, after the burger is done for 6 months, what's your next new quote unquote entree going to be? And so if you don't have that projection and have that type of forecasting as a business owner, then it'll be a one and done, right? And that's why it's so hard to be successful in the restaurant business, because everybody's got a niche, right? And if your niche is not working, that's why I hate to hear when restaurants change their menu, right? We just did a whole new menu. Well, next thing you know, 3 months later, they're out of business. So as a partner and as an advocate or a coach or someone who's actually going to be in their corner, you're going to help them to understand that maybe that's not a good move. Maybe we need to think about cutting back. I hate to say cut back staff until we get enough money in the actual bank, enough resources so we can actually move forward. Because like Paige is saying, we hate for somebody to launch out there in the deep and there's no life jackets, no lifeboats out there. And so now the business is going to fail because there's no one out there to help them. And so we're on the same team. We just got to make sure that when we do these type of events or do these type of entrepreneurships, that we're all speaking the same language. And so sometimes that language is hard to understand. Sometimes you need a glossary. Sometimes you need a translator. And
right.
I can help you go through the process. And so as bankers, we're that glossary. As bankers, we're that translator. As bankers, we're that individual to help you navigate in the deep, choppy waters. So
that's an excellent point. And if I could just add one more thing to add to the good Reverend's answer there.
Yes. Go ahead.
One of the biggest keys and his point is excellent. And this is really what you have to stress to a business owner or somebody that wants to start a business. You might be the best burger maker in the entire world, okay? But are you a good business person? There's a huge difference between being very good at what you do and being a very good business person. And that's really, you have to have that conversation, make sure that they understand that. Okay. I've seen in my banking career, I've seen a lot of great widget makers fail because they're not good business people.
So true, because you can have a passion for something and want to do it. But I think, like all of you said, going and working with SBA, working with the Small Business Development Center, working with us to really flush that out so you can stay in business for the long term, I think really is key. And so,
Right. Can I say something, Katrina, real quick about that?
Go ahead.
Because that's the reason why we always look for your personal finances, right? People get upset. Why you need my personal finances for? We need
Don't
to
get in my personal business.
Right. Well, it's nothing personal. We're all part of the family now. So it's all in the family, right? And so the family has to make sure the family is taken care of. And so that's the reason why it's essential to make sure your personal businesses and personal business is taken care of as well. Because if it's great, your business is taking off, but then where's the other money going to come from, right?
And one more question, we are in the midst of COVID-19. How has that impacted lending? And when people say they apply for this, is it going to lengthen the process? Are there more hoops? Are there less hoops because of the environment we're in? Normally you have to go in and sign documents and send things. How has COVID sort of changed banking and what people can expect when they do go apply for a loan? And Paige, I'll start with you.
Yeah, so Huntington was an active member of the PPP. We are preparing for another PPP. Now that is all dependent on Congress and a lot of what the SBA administration does. I would highly encourage everyone on the phone call to start a banking relationship, because if we do get another round of PPP, most banks will work with their customers prior to onboarding new customers to get a PPP loan. So for you, starting that banking relationship now, so that you can go through a lot of the intricacies about starting the relationship, will help you as we get ready to prepare for a possible another round of PPP lending. And because PPP has been so big, that has just caused our sort of business as usual to be a bit delayed. So we are asking for everyone's patience as we try and support both customers, right? Customers that need immediate assistance through PPP, and then customers who need another loan to maybe grow their business or do working capital. So it does quite a delay. And then Wendell, of course, will speak to our branch environment changing due to COVID cases. So our branches are no longer open in the lobby. You have to make an appointment. So it's important that you call your local branch to make an appointment or use the drive-through, and that just impacts sort of your impression as you walk in the branch, since really you can't walk in the branch these days. So.
Right. Thank you for that. Were you going to add to that, Wendell?
Paige pretty much hit every bullet point. It is a pretty hectic time for the back office due to the volumes of PPP requests and still processing those. So I always put it out there to every customer I talk to just to exercise extreme patience.
Okay, good to know. Thank you so much. What about at Republic?
I would say the same thing, but I think what we've done now is we've tried to embrace technology more. Sometimes technology can be a good thing, sometimes it can be a bad thing. But the problem right now is that we can't be face-to-face anymore. And so what we're doing right now, right, we have Zoom calls and we have DocuSign, and we're doing things with documentation as far as getting people's signatures through the computers and that type of whole process. And so I think we've embraced technology because there's some things you can't do that you used to be able to do pre-pandemic. And so understanding that the volume for this next PPP strand is probably going to be even larger than the first, because people realize that it worked and it helped save a lot of businesses. and a lot of entrepreneurs that are now still in business because of the PPP loan. And if they had not had those funds, they would not be around today. So I think as we continue to embrace technology, embrace what technology brings to the table, we will continue to see that be beneficial, not only to us as a company, but to our customers as well.
Thank you. And Joe, just the same thing for you, but also, you know, we've said PPP many times. If you will just take a few minutes just to say what the PPP is, we are hearing from the national level that there could be potentially another round of funding. So we want to make sure everyone on the call really has a basic understanding of what that PPP is.
Well, PPP is for Payroll Protection Program, and it's set up for small businesses who have experienced an impact to their business. It's to prevent job loss due to lack of capital, or your business has slowed down because of COVID. The whole idea behind the program is for the government through the SBA to lend money to the small business owner that they can use to keep those employees on the payroll and continue to fund their business during this economic downturn because of COVID. What's really been nice about it is that it is a forgivable loan. We have had a number of our customers already apply for forgiveness. I would say about a third of our entire portfolio has already had their loans forgiven. Technology, again, has been a great help to that with the way we have our forgiveness set up. But as far as how COVID has impacted our industry, I believe Wendell mentioned patience, and that is the golden word, because we do a lot of SBA lending at Heritage as well. And the SBA is overwhelmed as well. And it has slowed the process down, specific to SBA loans. But at the same time, we lending volumes, from that standpoint, the economy is robust. We get a lot of requests, and it hasn't impacted our conventional lending to that any great extent at all. We're still sailing right through.
Okay. Well, thank you all so much. This has been an awesome discussion. We appreciate hearing all that you've had to offer about your tools and services. And so for this next part, we're going to go into our breakout session, and Rhonda Chisenhall is going to explain what we are going to do from here. Hey there, Rhonda.
Yes, thank you. So we have 3 breakout rooms, one for each bank. And so when I open the rooms, you should all see the choices, and everyone should be able to choose what room they want to go in. So if you heard something from Kenneth at Republic that you want to talk more about, you want to choose to go into the Republic Bank rooms. You can choose Republic, Heritage, or Huntington. It is 2020, so there's probably going to be some glitches. If you're not able to choose a breakout room, or you don't see a way to choose a breakout room, just type a message in the chat as to which bank you want to go into the breakout room with, and then I will try to assign you to that breakout room. We tested it earlier, and I was able to assign those that couldn't go in, so hopefully this will all work. But again, patience. So, as Wendell said, we need patience. Just bear with me. I'm going to open the rooms, and then I'll stay in the main room for a minute or two just to make sure everybody gets into a breakout room.
Thank you, Rhonda. I don't see anything.
Oh, let's see, it's not working. So
people are going. I don't know. I'm not going anywhere.
maybe we can do that in a couple months, hopefully.
Yeah.
So,
Hey,
Rhonda,
Tom, this is Pedro. How are you doing?
Hey, Pedro, how's everything in Louisville?
It's cold.
Cold? Yeah, I hear you.
it's colder up
Hey,
here.
just look at this. I think we're only 5-6 days from the shortest day of the year, and you'll be golfing in not too long. Pitchers and catchers are about 60 days away.
Well, you know what? When it gets to this time of year, my attitude is in 60 to 90 days, we'll be in the 40s and 50s consistently.
Hey, you can play golf in that weather. I bet you played in that weather.
I actually play. All I need is 48 degrees and sunshine, and I'll play.
All right. So let me get back on the matter at hand. Thank you guys for coming. No worries. Rhonda's to be the one that hazed me later on, they were talking about.
Yeah. So we're talking about golf.
Right.
Oh, no.
So one of the charge Rhonda was to talk about specifically, if anything that you heard during this part of the presentation that you want to elaborate on as something I've said, something you heard during the presentation, and we will try to elaborate that kind of more intimately in the private breakout section. Any takers? Any?
Ken, this is I think really important. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I think one of the things that's really important, we've been talking about for about 9 months now, but I think it's really important to continue to convey to small business owners that they really need to stay on top of their contingency planning, because until we get full control of this, especially if you're running a small shop. I know here in Louisville, several barbers have tested positive for COVID-19, and some were following the protocols, others were, and a couple have had to shut down for 2 weeks. And so we have to continue to be diligent and stressing that to our small business customers and applicants, especially those who are in small business, because if you're doing an operation such as that, and you've got a small shop with a few employees and you're not rotating, all it takes is one positive result, and that could be disastrous on balance sheets.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I know we've talked a lot about the resources and getting a loan and how to get funding, but then just remembering that if you're a small business and you may only have one or two, a couple employees, and what if somebody tests positive? Yeah, how are you going to keep the business open? How are you going to keep the money coming in?
Great point, Ken. I have just a question on, you talked about building trust, and you talked a lot about that in your presentation, which I think is so important in a banking relationship. But I think between now and, if indeed another PPP round comes out in January or February, in combination with what, the bank is doing with their community loan fund, is really finding ways to really seek out those businesses that are in need, and the smallest of businesses, Black-owned businesses. How do we find them to go to them? You know what I'm saying? How do we get the information to them that, the banking community, not only Republic, but Huntington and Heritage and all the banks, that we are there to serve them. We just need to find them, and I think that's probably the even bigger challenge. We're here to help, but how do we get the message to the people that are in need? Because sometimes, probably the people that are really in need maybe not even be on this call because they're focused on surviving. You know what I'm saying? So how do we get that message to them is my biggest question.
Is Chris on the call? Chris Owens, you still here? Chris?
Yeah, I'm here.
You out there, Chris?
I'm here.
Aren't you still connected with the African American Chamber?
In a sense, yes. What was the question? Sorry, I was walking the dog.
Oh, no worries. Tom was asking about us trying to get those actual businesses and helping find business entrepreneurs that are African American and finding them. And the best way, and I was going to say the best way to do that is to talk to the entities that do that every day. The nonprofits that help African American and minority business owners be successful, and then partner with them and moving forward with what they're trying to do. But you can elaborate on the African American Chamber if you would so much do so.
Yeah, I mean, if you're corporate citizen, but also they want to make sure that they're getting in front of minority businesses, because if there's a need, you know, they would love to partner with them. You know, in terms of, you know, if you're a business trying to find an African American or a minority business, then something like the African American Chamber is a great way to do that, because they can then direct you to say, you know, hey, if you're looking for architecture, or you're looking for some type of professional service, you know, they can then push you in the right direction. You know, and then you also, even to go further than that, like you said before, you know, there are nonprofit organizations that can help as well. You know, there's one in Cincinnati that actually it's like a consortium of nonprofits that have a supplier diversity list, where they want to add minority companies onto this list, so that if a nonprofit says, hey, I'll just use me, like I need group benefits, or I need property and casualty, you know, they can go to that list and say, oh, look, there's Taylor Oswald. Here's the contact, reach out to him. So I don't know if that helps answer the question.
Yes, it does, Chris. Thank you.
Yeah, and our time's up. I'm sorry. So I'm going to close the breakout room, and we're going to go back into the main session. We didn't have.
We had 30 seconds left, Rhonda. We had 30 seconds left. I was going to talk about the Urban League as well as other nonprofits.
Okay.
It's a great way for entrepreneurs.
You got 30 seconds.
All right. So I'm good.
Okay.
So
Rhonda, we still coming back?
Yeah, I have not seen more people popping in, so I don't know if some people left at the end of the breakout, but.
Can you tell? So is everybody back? Oh,
Here comes the bunch. We had one.
Okay.
We had one breakout session. They were all staying in there. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I clicked on end for everybody, but yeah.
We didn't want to end. We were having a great conversation.
Okay. Is everybody, Rhonda? We back?
Yeah, I think we've got just about everybody back.
Okay. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed their breakout session. I know that 10 minutes went by really, really fast. You know, I think I was with Huntington, we were able to get to a couple of questions, really more about, you know, how to really get that relationship established. And, you know, what is the expectation? How often should you hear from your bank, and how often should you contact them? You know, and they said, Wendell had made the comment that he reaches out. He has a schedule where he regularly reaches out to all of his, everybody in his bill, all of his customers. So you should be getting regular contact from your bank. They should be checking up on you, and you should be contacting them as well. Kareem, what'd you hear in your session?
We heard a lot of things very similar to what you just said, but one of the things that came out is that there was kind of like a refreshing appeal, because all of the banks are on the same, are kind of doing the same thing, and they're not competing with each other. They're kind of looking at the larger picture and wanting to help small businesses, because when these Black small businesses win, they win. So that was kind of mostly what was said. Heritage, it looked like that we liked that Heritage was wasn't concerned about necessarily being successful. That's one of the things that they want to help the community, and because they're one of the, I guess they're one of the only banks that are privately owned. I don't know if the other are privately owned, but they're really wanting to help the community. So just in a nutshell, that's kind of what we talked about.
Thank you so much. Rhonda, what about you?
Yeah, and so we talked about, the 10 minutes did go by quick. I had to cut people off, so I'm sorry. But, one good point that was brought up in our breakout group is, just making sure that the banks are working with their small business owners on the importance of the contingency plan and making sure that the business is staying on top of that, especially if it's a very small business with only a couple employees. What if somebody tests positive for COVID and the business has to shut down? What can they do? Are there things they can do to stay open? How are they going to keep the money coming in to pay the bills? So that was one thing that I thought was a really good point. And then the other one is that, if we're looking at another round of PPP funding available, making sure that the banks are doing, their part to seek out the businesses in need. So how banks need to be asking, how do we get that information out to the people that need it the most? How do we find those people?
Very good. Well, it sounds like we had a very, very good breakout session. So we just want to thank everybody for being with us tonight. Before we end it up, Kareem is going to let us know who our winners are of our raffle. So CBC is giving away a membership, Northern Kentucky Chamber is giving away a membership, and then we are giving away a $250 gift card. So Kareem, drum roll.
I wish I had one for you, but it doesn't really work on this wood desk. But the CBC membership, the 1-year CBC membership will go to Bryn Kuznick of Taj Hat Company. And I thought she was on here. She was on here earlier. And Bryn, are you there? Well, we'll make sure that you get in contact with the people at CBC for that.
She's with the sharp hat on, Kareem.
What?
I
There
see
she
her.
There.
Oh, there she is right there. Okay. The winner of the membership for the Northern Kentucky Chamber is Delshawn Hayes. She is the manager or the owner of Hayes Financial Coaching. And
my breakout group is winning. Hey.
So we'll make sure that you're in contact.
Next.
Need to ask for a recount.
And this is the big one, the 250. Well, I guess they're all big. I should not say that. The $250 goes to Anaya Arnold, and she has a organization called Healing Black Souls. And so Anaya, I will get with you. I have your email address. We will make sure you get your $250 gift card. So there you go. Raffles are done.
Yay. Thank you so much, Kareem. Thank you so much to our winners. Thank you to Pat. Pat, you got any final words you want to share with us on tonight?
No, and thanks for all your hard work, Katrina, you and your team. And it's exciting to have all these businesses trying to get where they need to be. And we would love to be a resource to you, as I know the Northern Kentucky Chamber would be as well. So we appreciate being a part of this.
Thank you so much, Pat. Do I still have my chamber people on? I know Brent Cooper, he is the CEO for the chamber. He was on late. I don't know if he's still on, but we've got Chris and Kristen. Are you guys there? Thank you guys so much for being a part on tonight.
I am still here, so thank you once again for the opportunity. And like I said, please reach out to us if you have any questions about the African American Chamber or the newly formed Diversity Committee. So thank you. Have a safe and happy holidays.
Thank you so much, Chris. And thank you so much to our panelists, to Kenneth Webb, to Joe Slim, to Wendell and Paige and Elizabeth. You're like an unofficial panelist. I'm sorry, but you are. Thank you all so much for the awesome information. What we will do, everything that we talked about tonight, all the products that we talked about, we will get those out to everybody that was on the call. We'll get you the contact name. So again, as we talk about that relationship, you'll be able to reach out directly to them and to begin to build those relationships. Again, as we think about PPP potentially on the horizon, now is the time to go in to talk with your bankers to make sure that you're ready and eligible for that funding and any other funding that they have offered on tonight. So thank you all, especially to all of the business owners that have given us your time. We know it's so valuable, because you are out there making it work every single day. So thank you so much. Have a great night. Happy holidays. We will follow this up after the first of the year. As I mentioned, we have some funding from Huntington. We also have an individual development account with Heritage Bank where we put money in, you put money in, we match that, Heritage matches that. We've got several exciting products that are free. Ours is free, you don't have to pay us back. That we'll be talking about more after the first of the year. So happy holidays. Have a great evening. Thank you to Kareem and Rhonda. They're my backbone. They always got my back. Have a great night. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you,
everybody.